Why does MCPS monitor network and computer usage?
We monitor, primarily MCPS is very concerned about the safety of students. We are concerned about your safety online and making sure that you're safe here at school and at home. So that's the main thing is our concern for the safety of our students. Secondly, we're required by federal law, the Children Internet Protection Act and also the Protecting Students in the 21st Century Act. Those two acts require us to ensure that there's protection measures in place to keep students safe from harmful materials. And that harmful materials can be explicit images or other information that may bring harm to students. So those are the two MCPS cares, and secondly, we're required by law.
And what are some ways that MCPS makes sure that computer usage is safe for students and other members of the school?
Primarily, one of the first things we'd like to do is through awareness. Like this morning, I have an opportunity to share and then make you aware of the dangers that are on the internet, dangers that can happen through the computer. So awareness is one thing. So I often come to schools and I speak with students, I speak with the staff at the schools, I speak with the parents. And so through awareness, that's one of the first steps, or one of the many steps that we take, is just making students aware, making staff aware, making parents aware that there are dangers and there are problems on the internet. Secondly, we do it through technology measures. We have a lot of different technologies that we have in place that protects the MCPS as a whole, and then we also have web filtering. So as students use the internet, if something harmful could come to them, then that is blocked. In addition, it's not just blocking like the social sites or sites that can be harmful, but we also are blocking against any of the malware viruses that may come into and then destroy the data or the information that you're looking at or working with as part of your projects, and that aspect. Another way we also protect students besides the awareness and the technology is through regulations. And regulation IGTRA is the regulation we use to inform staff and students and the population and all users for MCPS what they should and should not do as part of educational use.
And what does MCPS regulation say about network safety?
We have, IGTRA is the MCPS regulation. If you, when you log on to the computer and you get that log on screen, it says that regulation IGTRA on there. If you have never read it, I would recommend that you do read it and understand what you should and should not do on the MCPS networks. It explains to you everything about the computer system, and it tells you about conduct and use and what's considered educational use and what's considered not educational use. So it's important to understand that. It also it goes on to tell you the consequences and also what the student's responsibility and staff's responsibility in MCPS.
How detailed is the level of network and computer monitoring?
It's very detailed. When you log into the system, your user ID, which is your student ID, when you log into the network, it identifies you by that ID, because that ID is attached to your name. So when you log on to the network and you start using the computers, it's keeping a detailed log of where you're going, how much time you're spending online, what you're looking at, and what you're doing online. And so if, for instance, you get the stop sign, if you've not seen the stop sign, I'm sure that many of you have, there's a stop sign that comes up. When you have entered into a place on the internet that we have deemed that it's not safe or you should not be there, you'll get a stop sign that tells you your computer address. It'll have also your ID information on there, as well as the name of the site that you went to and what violation that site caused that stop sign to come up. So you'll know immediately, hey, I went to this page, and this is me that went to that page, and I'm sitting at this computer, wherever that computer is located. So it gives a very detailed information. So if you're probing the internet and you're not on task and it's not educational use and you get this stop sign, what we will do then, once we identify that particular event or events, then we'll bring it to the school, bring it to the school administrator, and we'll provide a detailed report to them. Oftentimes what we're encountering is students are trying to use proxy sites to get around the filtering system, and our system captures all that information and lets us know that students are trying that. And when we find out that there is an attempt to circumvent the protection measures, then consequences will follow because of that kind of activity. So it's very, very detailed, and we know down to the student, down to the location of the computer, and down to the time and how much time.
And speaking of consequences, what are some of the possible consequences to students who do not demonstrate appropriate use of MCPS network and computers?
There are a series of consequences that could occur. One is MCPS related. The first one is in accordance with IGTRA, that if it's non-educational use and there's a list of conduct and use in IGTRA. If you violate those, and the list is not comprehensive, but it gives you kind of a pretty good idea of what you're not supposed to be doing. And if you're not on task and it's not educational use, the consequences can be as simple as a verbal reprimand. The teacher or administrator could say you were off task and you were doing something you ought not to be doing, and therefore just a verbal reprimand. It could be as severe as a suspension. However many days suspension depends on the severity of the event. So it can be a few days or 10 days. And then it could be, if the event is so severe, it could also include expulsion, a recommendation for expulsion. So then the student would have to go through the expulsion process. It could also that not only the event is going to require from the school perspective suspension and recommendation for expulsion, but also could be a police referral. If we think a law has been violated, then we will report it to the police. The state of Maryland has a law for computer abuse, computer hacking, and that law can, if you violate that law, the consequences can be a fine, a really heavy fine, and also imprisonment. And so that's from a legal perspective. That's what can happen. So when that occurs, if you're a minor, you go through the juvenile court system. If you're older, 18, sometimes 17, you can also go through the adult court system. And we've had students go through both, either the juvenile system and or have gone through the adult system because they have violated a law and they were arrested, and then they had to go through the whole court system. So you have the MCPS and you have the legal. There is another set of consequences that's beyond MCPS, is beyond the law. And those consequences deal with when you put too much information online. We've had students put way too much information online, brother, mother, sister, parents, birth dates, telephone numbers, addresses where they live. They put that kind of information out there. And what happens sometimes, there are those individuals out there who don't have your best interest. And so what they do is they have all this information about you, and now they're able to find you. They're able to know where you live. And so sometimes that information can be impactful. We've had it reported in the news where a young lady who said, I'm going to Disney World. And next thing you know, she goes to Disney World. They come back a few days later. When they come back to the house is empty. Thieves had come in and they stolen the entire house because they knew from when to when this family was going to be gone to Disney World, and so they were able to come there and then rob the house. We've had a lot of different times, situations where families or the students is in danger because of too much information out there. So that is just a one piece of it. Another part of it is sometimes you put too much information out there. Now you might put silly information out there. For instance, I've had students where they've had a root beer bottle and they pretend to be drunk. And so they have that picture taken and they put it as their profile picture. Well, the colleges, when they look at your Facebook site, they do have ways to look at your site, even though you may lock down the privacy settings. And many students don't even know how to to lock down the privacy settings. But even if you do have it locked down, what can happen is the colleges can still access your Facebook and get information, and they can't tell if that bottle is actually a beer or root beer. So no one really knows. So you might, they may say, well, we don't, you're not the kind of a character we want to attend our school. So that at that point you might miss out on a scholarship opportunity or an opportunity to go to a particular college that you have chosen as one of your first choices. In addition to that, sometimes you may have situations such as where your identity is stolen. If you put so much information out there, your address, your mom, dad, and so forth, now what happens is you're ready to go apply for a school loan. But someone has taken your identity and created a whole identity of you, and they've applied for loans, they applied for credit cards and stuff, and they've gone out there and they've bought all this stuff in your name. Now your credit score is low, and you can't even get a loan because someone has stolen your identity. So then you have that aspect. So that it's your identity and your privacy, and those are aspects. And then there another aspect is where you may put so much information out there, and not only they know where you live, but it may not impact you physically. You know, the person doesn't come to you directly, but what may happen is they go to your house and they impact your family. So your family could become victims because of too much information that you're putting online. And so we have encountered a lot of different situations within Montgomery County where students have, they're online and they're putting all this information on social sites, and they're not understanding the dangers and the consequences that comes with too much information out there. So I would recommend that please go look at your Facebook sites, go look at your Tumblr sites, go look at eBlogger or wherever you're going, your Twitter site, your Flickr sites, all these different sites. Go there, look at what you got out there, and remove all the unnecessary information so that it doesn't impact your future and doesn't impact you in anything you desire to do because of someone taking that information and misusing it in a way that does do you harm in some shape or fashion.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Wong, for informing Richard Montgomery High School about network safety and stressing the seriousness of safe online usage.
Thank you.